being able to send incident traffic via radiograms, and even to a certain extent encapsulate ICS 213s inside radiograms. Why might they want to do this, you might ask? If you don't already know, there's actually a huge infrastructure of traffic nets that are out there, right? There's local traffic nets, there's regional and section state traffic nets. There's a whole digital traffic system. So there's this huge infrastructure of operators that are already out there ready to go to send radiogram traffic long haul across the country and the world, I guess. And if there was an incident where we couldn't get traffic out of the local area, it's another tool in the toolbox. It's something we should be prepared and understand how to utilize if it came down to it, right? Certainly, it's not the first choice for how to pass a 213, but understanding how to send radiograms, understanding how to do the 213 thing is I think important. Now, my idea is that we just start with just regular radiograms, because I don't think a lot of people are that familiar with them. Honestly, I wasn't until I don't know. I got into this. I blame AB8M, but I got into this recently and kind of understand it now and have wrapped my head around it. So I'd never done it other than on field day. But on field day, you get bonus points for sending radiograms as well. So I came up with this exercise, and basically the goal is starting today. So yeah, today's the 11th, I think, right? So between today and Halloween, I'm going to ask Matt to send this out to the whole district. The goal is to send either me or Doug a radiogram during the remainder of October. And the radiogram should answer the trivia question, answer if you have WinLink capability on VHF, and whether or not you would check into a monthly district net. Now, you can only have 25 words total. You could have more, but you're supposed to only have a maximum of 25 words in a radiogram, so you got to be careful as you're composing the message. But during the month of October, send a radiogram either to Doug or to me. And then further, the goal, here's some links to some different ways, the different traffic nets. There's the Ohio Single Sideband Net, Tri-County Traffic Net, Buckeye Net, ODEN, and the Burning River Traffic Net. The preference here, and I should highlight this and make it bold, is to try and send it via phone or FLDigi, not just firing up WinLink and shooting off a radiogram in WinLink. That's pretty easy to do, and if you've got WinLink, you can do it that way. But the idea here is to practice sending a radiogram kind of the old school, more traditional way. And then bonus points, check into the Monday WinLink packet net, but note, there are no points. That's really it. So I came up with this the other day, figured it gives us an impetus to try practicing sending traffic, try checking in and receiving some traffic. Maybe we'll reply, maybe we won't, depends how many we get, I guess. But Matt, hopefully you can take this and send it out via an email blast or whatever to all the members in District 10 with some encouraging language to encourage participation. Anybody have any questions about that?
Yeah, I do. When we're sending the FLDigi message, this has to be done digitally. Are the Burning River and Tri-County taking digital messages, or?
They are not. So like if you wanted to get on ODEN and send it via FLDigi, you could do that. If you're going to do it on VHF, really the only way you're going to be able to do it on VHF is to take it to the Tri-County net or the Burning River traffic net and send it via phone. There isn't any that I'm aware of, any local nets on VHF right now that'll take it via FLDigi. I left that in here as an option rather than just saying phone only, because I put ODEN in here. And I guess you could do it on the Buckeye Net mixed mode net as well. You could send via digital. But my main goal is for people to do it phone. But I left the option here to do it via FLDigi if you can manage to get on ODEN or on the Buckeye Net mixed mode.
Okay, thank you.
But like the Ohio Single Sideband Net, the Tri-County Traffic Net, Burning River Traffic Net, those are all phone-only nets. The Buckeye Net is traditionally a CW net, so you can send, if you know CW, you can send via CW. Although they do have some mixed mode sessions that do voice and digital on the same net. And then ODEN is a digital-only net on Tuesday nights to Livia.
Okay, thank you.
John, does this has to be ARES affiliated or like folks doing MCOM, or can this be anyone? Because we typically for WEDU, we teach our students to send radiogram every semester. So we can have an influx for you if you want to do that.
I mean, if you want it, so my goal is for every ARES D10 member to originate a radiogram to KMAV or ABM. If you have club members that are not ARES members that you would like to invite to participate in this, that is fine.
Okay. It will be a lot, 20, I'm thinking.
Whatever you want to do. The more traffic, the better. But my goal in this is to start having our ARES members in District 10 to get comfortable with sending and receiving radiogram traffic via phone is my primary goal.
Okay.
So I figured we start with this. It's the middle of the month. I knew we were having this meeting, so I made it for the second half of October. We'll see how it goes. I might write something up and send it to Matt to send out for November. We'll see. I'm hoping we get some decent participation. And again, we got the PacketNet. I know a bunch of you are checking into the PacketNet on Mondays. That's awesome. It's been great seeing John MXX on Packet out here from Lorain County. So yeah, well, it's kind of a trial balloon to see what kind of participation we get, see how many people can get on and send a message, and if it goes well, we will keep doing it. Do something different in November, maybe something in December. We'll see.
John, could you have Doug include this write-up that you have on the screen now? Hand it over to Doug so we can get legs up on it tomorrow on the Black River Ops net when he prints out the tally of everybody and it goes out to everybody else.
Yeah, I'll ask him to include it in his net report out of the Black River net, and like I said, have Matt also send a MailChimp or whatever to all the district. And you're welcome to, and I encourage, maybe I'll try to put a web page up somewhere. But if, regardless, you're welcome to mention it on any, the ARES nets or whatever. You can mention, hey, just between October and, between now and the end of October, send a radiogram to Doug or me, and the questions, you can share that on the nets if you want or not. Maybe I'll post this somewhere.
Okay, very good. Thanks, John.
Yeah.
And Frank, with your case students, there's no reason to not also just have them sign up in ARES Connect also, so that they are in the loop on getting messages and whatnot.
Yeah, actually, fun fact, we regularly teach people to do NTS instead of, WinLink and everything. Like, that's the first thing students learn when they got their licenses, to send a radiogram. So I think we're very well versed on teaching people to send radiogram on that aspect.
Yeah, and when Matt sends this out, I included a link. I stopped sharing, but I included a link. There's a lot of different places you can go to read about like how to send a radiogram if you don't know. But I included a link that has some pretty good details. If you have questions, you can shoot me a note. I'm happy to try and answer them, or Doug. Doug actually knows more about this stuff than I do, but I'm learning.
And by the way, I started recording the meeting so that people who missed it can review it later. So
that's all I got, Matt.
Don't say all those things about me that you normally do.
Yes, Carl.
Yeah, in case you're interested, there's a bunch of forms pre-made on the internet available. I know Tri-County has a couple listed there, so you can download those and use those for fill-ins.
Yeah, maybe I'll add that to the message, Matt, before you send it out. There's a link to like a fillable PDF you can use. You can also use FL Message, even if you're not sending it with FL Digi. You can use FL Message to, compose or copy messages in and out of FL Message, even if you're doing it over phone. But yeah, good call there, Carl. I'll check and see if it's listed on that link I already included, and if not, maybe I'll include a separate link.
Yeah, there's a couple forms. This is one that has a double form. There's another one that's got the single form, but all the codes for the ARRL messages below it.
Yeah. Oh, and actually, yeah, one of the first things on this link that I included is click here to download a fillable PDF. So it's right in the link that I already put in there.
Okay.
Cool.
Tim, did you have a question? I see your little hand up icon.
Oh, cool. It worked. Yeah, I wanted to tell you guys, I made arrangements because me and WADJG, I called him, and I didn't know how much inflow of traffic that we were supposed to get, but I kind of got a good gauge on it. Now, that may be all I pass here. I don't know what else is coming down on my side, but I called him and made arrangements, or asked how he thought, I should say, clarify. If we had an influx of these ICS to 213s, and they were 40 or 50 words, you know, into a radiogram, which Mars wants. And, you know, I said, that's impossible, especially on HFnet, but it would not be impossible on a digital net. But apparently the heads has had a powwow, as you know, and it's comes out to 26 words, but I omitted the X-ray. As I learned, you know, don't put a X-ray or stop, i.e. period at the end of a radiogram. But he said he liked the idea. We could run mixed mode, voice on 523 and digital on 715. But he said, you need to get permission. Now this, I'm just sharing this here because I'll tell you why in the end. So I sought permission. Permission was granted from LCRA president back to W8DJG. So it's all a sealed deal. And I had not heard Dave on the net since. I don't know if he got pulled away for work. I've texted him. He hasn't answered me, but we set this up as long as he got prior authorization. So he's got authorization. I've got authorization. So if you want to do a digital thing at 1.5, you can do it digitally too. I don't know if you want to add that to your repertoire, but there's an option there. And I do have a question for John. WinLink via VHF. I know, me and you played with Vara FM and Matt and NZJ. Can you clarify what that means, so I can answer that? I mean, I want to have a concept of what you mean there for the radiogram I generate over.
Yeah, so cool that we might be able to have some mixed mode capabilities in Lorraine County. For the purposes of this exercise, what I'm saying is I would prefer it if and it doesn't have to be a 213 radiogram. The whole goal of this is just to get people familiar with sending radiograms. So just you send a radiogram to me or Doug, answer the 3 questions, and my preference is you send it via phone or FLDigi if you can get to an FLDigi net, but I don't want anybody to send it via WinLink because that's pretty easy to do, and that doesn't give anybody practice on sending a radiogram kind of the traditional way using the traditional NTS nets. So the whole goal of this is to get people on some of the traditional NTS nets, just sending radiograms, ideally via phone, and if it's VHF, really the only way to do it, at least in compliance with my desire for this exercise, is to do it via phone. You know, as people get more familiar with it, maybe the next one is to do it via FLDigi on a repeater or something. We can figure that out. But for the purposes of this exercise in October for District 10, send it phone via TrafficNet. Okay,
very good. But still referring to WinLink VHF capability, are you referring to like Vara FM or FLDigi?
Oh no, I'm just yes. So the question is, are you able to get on WinLink on VHF? And I mean, it's a generic question. If you can get on packet, I mean, I guess maybe I'll clarify. The question is, can you get on VHF and do WinLink to an RMS? So I guess it's, can you get on VHF packet WinLink?
Okay, yeah. And maybe I could discuss that. I don't want to hold up the whole meeting. I do have the camera running. I did fire up WinLink a while ago, and I tried to connect. Well, I guess what I'm not clear on, I don't know how to connect my cam right to WinLink, I guess. I'll discuss that later. I'm trying to hook things up, and I'm not sure how to connect everything via one COM port. I guess I could put a virtual splitter in there like I do for other stuff, but I'll just answer that question. Yes, you guys know I have that, and thanks.
Cool. That's all I got, Matt.
All right, thanks.
I'll send you a final draft of that thing later for you to shoot out.
All right, and I have a question about the way the radiograms in WinLink works. If you send a radiogram through WinLink, but you don't actually address it as the message to the person, but you do that little regional selection at the bottom,
Yep.
that mean that somebody picks that up and then manually creates a message and puts it via phone into a net somewhere? Is that how that works?
Yeah, so I'll say it depends. But my understanding is that if you click at the bottom of the form in WinLink and you pick one of the regions, like you pick RRI Region 8, it sends it to a mailbox for Radio Relay International Region 8, and there's somebody whose job it is to go pick messages off of that mailbox, and they will then take it and either, I've sent some test messages, and they will either send it to the NTS digital system, which is a series of BPQ BBSs that are out there all on Pactor that NTS uses, or they'll otherwise take it and inject it into a region net or something, maybe via phone, maybe whatever. But at a high level, basically, somebody from the Radio Relay International region picks it up from that mailbox and then takes it to the next step it needs to get to its next location.
Okay.
It's just a relay station, Matt.
All right. So, and I know that this isn't what you want people to do, but I'm curious, so I'm going to try it anyways, John, and see how this message gets to you when I select Region 8 and see what happens.
You can do that outside of this exercise if you're just curious. That's fine.
Yeah.
But yeah, somebody from Region 8 picks it up and either takes it to the 8th region net or to digital, or I don't know, to the Eastern net. I don't know what they do with it. It probably depends on where it's going and what they do. Now, I'll also say that I've seen a couple times recently where AB8MW, I think it is, in Columbus, get some of these things, and like Doug sent one that didn't get there, or it sat in WinLink and somebody didn't pick it up. So I don't know what the deal is with that, but that's that's what's supposed to happen, is somebody from some liaison station for Region 8 is supposed to pick it up out of that mailbox and act appropriately on it based on where it's going.
Info.
Did somebody just say something?
Yeah, info. If I see that correctly, I would suspect once you do that, it'll go sit there, it'll be routed, it'll pick up, come probably back via the OSSBN. And if the digital rep is on OSSBN, i.e. Dave W8DJG, he would probably bring that to the Burning River traffic net as long as they have a digital rep. And I know Dave's the digital rep. He goes and checks that stuff all the time when he's available. He'll bring it into the local net.
Yeah, well, Dave's checking the NTS digital system, which is the Pactor system. Somebody else is picking stuff out of that box for Region 8 and doing whatever with it, depending on where it's destined.
Yeah, I'm going to be on there. I got my request in, and it was sent forward for my Pactor, why I try to get all this stuff set up as well, so I could be a digital traffic on a digital traffic network.
Just a quick comment. You were saying that while you can send more than 50, it is possible to send more than 25 characters or words in a radiogram. However, you have to break it up into two different messages, like page 1 and page 2, and you can send it that way. It does double the time passing it phonetically on phone, but it is possible to send larger than 25.
Yep. I just wanted to make sure, I just put that in there so that people don't write a book.
Yeah.
You should be able to answer those 3 questions with 25 words or less.
All right. So since I hit record late, for those people that are going to be watching this recording afterwards, I'll again point out, because I'm so excited about it, that the Cleveland Marathon and the Xenia Hamvention are not on the same weekend this year. So hopefully everybody will be able to volunteer for those. Are you, by the way, are you guys seeing the Word document again? Making sure I'm screen sharing right. Okay, good. Too many monitors. Okay, so also with regards to since there was reference in John's thing to the District 10 net, we are going to be starting a repeater net again on the 147015 repeater. It's going to happen the first Thursday of each month at 7 p.m., which those of you who've checked into the Simplex net know that that's when the Simplex net happens. So we're going to start doing a repeater net at that time instead. And then when the repeater net is over, we'll use the repeater net to establish who's going to take check-ins for each county. And then we'll all jump over to 146415. So it'll give more people an opportunity to check in and kind of streamline things a little bit. But I don't know. I guess I'm happy to take input on the call now. Should we start this in November? Should we start it in December? Or should we just make it start it in January fresh for the new year? I know that Cuyahoga County ARES nets, we usually don't hold around the holidays. Steve, what did we decide? Through October and then that's it? Nothing in November or December? Or what are we going to do?
Right now, I think it's kind of winding down, and everybody, the regulars are getting burned out and doing the net for NCO like that. So I think I'm going to cancel it out for November and December. And what I'm going to do is get a list of everybody from Cuyahoga County from you and mass email everybody about the net and see if we can get some more operators in there and some fresh blood so that they could do the nets starting in January. So I think I'm going to shut it down for November and December, and it kind of go along with the Skywarn a little bit like that. They're done for the rest of the year, and then all ARES will start up fresh in January. So in a short sense, yeah, I'm going to cancel it in November, December.
All right. So how about we do the same for the district net then? I'll put out an email that we'll skip November and December for the Simplex nets, for the District 10 Simplex net as well. And then we'll start fresh again in January, the first Thursday of January. And we'll start the repeater net at that time as well. I have an email out to Norma, the group that owns the 015 repeater, just to make sure that they have no objections, even though I think that ARES pretty much has free reign on that repeater, but since we haven't used it regularly in quite some time, and technically it is malfunctioning, there's a problem with the feed line, but it's so high profile that it works anyways. So they may decide, no, we don't want the extra traffic until we get it fixed. I don't know. So tentatively, we'll plan to start that in January, 7 p.m., and then we'll go to Simplex afterwards. So, and then real quick, I'm going to just, since I got it today, Scott Yonley sends out an hours report every month based on the ARES Connect hours. So I figured I'd share that real quick. This is statewide hours for all the different stuff that gets entered in there. 1,300 events, 5,000 people, and 6,000 hours for the month of September. Just numbers on how many people are signed up for the system per district. Looks like District 10 is what, 1, 2, 3rd on the list with 185 people. And all the hours by month statewide. And then there's a breakdown by counties. So Cuyahoga County, 285. Lorain, 227. Lake, 215. Cuyahoga, 32. Nothing for Ashtabula. And Medina is 72. And when you look at things like Licking County, 675 hours. I don't know what that's all about, but I guarantee you they're not doing anything that any of our counties aren't doing. They're just better at recording the hours. So everybody, I encourage you to regularly enter your hours into ARES Connect. If you don't want to because you hate the website and you think it's a pain in the butt to use, then just reach out to your EC. For those of you that are in Cuyahoga County, you can always email your stuff to Steve, K8SAS, and he will manually enter hours. That's part of his job responsibilities. So if you just refuse to use the website, but you're happy for us to receive your hours, just put them into a spreadsheet or something and send them off, or even just send an email to Steve. Talk to Steve, K8SAS, offline and figure out what method is best for him, and he'll be happy to enter the hours for you. And then those of you that live outside of Cuyahoga County, just talk to your EC. I've asked each county EC to appoint somebody to have the job of entering hours manually for those who don't want to. So talk to your EC, figure out who that person is, and see what you can do to get your hours in without having to mess around with the website, or just use the website, whatever you prefer.
Sorry, a quick question, just to confirm. On the website, I think somewhere it says it doesn't necessarily need to be associated with ARES work. I
Correct.
Think any radio work counts.
Correct.
Can we backlog, or it is what it is?
Yeah, you can. If you've got something that you want to just enter it all, like for the month of October, that's fine. It doesn't matter.
Or for the month of August, because I just realized the renovation of the EDU shack, we're basically 5 days a week from 10 a.m. to 3 p.m. 4 days out of 5 days. That's a lot of hours.
Yeah, just add it all up, enter it in there. If you have problems, talk to Steve. I will tell you, if you try to enter more than 24 hours for any event, it will refuse it. So what you'll have to do is enter 24 hours and then send an email to Steve or myself telling us, or both of us, saying what the hours really should be, and then we'll go in and manually change it after the fact.
Okay, I'll have some hours then.
Yeah, that's fine. Go ahead and put them in there. You know, you can put them under you. Honestly, you could, if you want, just send the hours to Steve with a list of who was involved, and then he can manually enter it in. If anybody else was there, I'm sure Kasdan was there, you know, we can get him the credit for the hours too. And if anybody else was there that happens to have an account in ARES Connect, he can assign the hours to all the people that were there. That's what he does on a regular basis with nets and events. I send him the roster, he gets people the hours.
Okay, and then we can just confirm, hours in August can still be logged at this point, or is it just out of?
Yes, they can. That's okay. As long as you didn't already log them, you can still enter them.
Yeah. Okay, I'll have those for you.
Yeah, and they'll get entered as October hours, even though they happen in August, but it doesn't matter.
I might ask if I could take a moment here.
Yeah.
Anybody online right now that is not in Cuyahoga County? Okay, very good.
I think just John and Tim.
Yeah, Cuyahoga next back. For the County.
And Mike, I think, too.
Yeah, I live in Lake, although I'm only a snowball's throw from Cuyahoga.
Okay, so John, Mike, and Tim, if you can add yours by yourself to your county. And then what I'll do with everybody else is I have everybody else written down over here, and I'll put your hours in for today's meeting.
Steve, just go ahead and create an event for today's meeting and then just put all of them in there. And then by default, they'll get their credit. So that way they won't have to mess around with it.
Okay, very good.
And since the hours will be assigned to a person who's registered in another county, it'll automatically kick back to that county. So as long as you create an event and then put them in, we'll be good to go.
Okay, will do.
All right. Any questions about anything before we get into the SET? The rest of the meeting is just going to be talking about the SET and how it went and thoughts and what the plans are for next year. So anything that I haven't talked about that anybody has comments on before I start yapping about the SET? All right. So as you guys know, the SET was last weekend, and it was very interesting. We had how many people? I think I ended up with 22 people on Saturday. sitting around waiting for assignments that we never got. And then a little bit less on Sunday. I had a call with all the DECs where I voiced my displeasure with how things went. I mean, it was a, it wasn't like, just a complain fest or anything. I mean, it was a good call, and I think it was productive. And I'll just tell you that the problems that we experienced in Cuyahoga County were experienced in and in Lake and Cuyahoga and Lorain. Pretty much the only county in District 10 that actually received instructions to do anything was Medina. And our concerns about not having anything to do were prevalent throughout the entire district. There were a lot of counties that shared very similar issues. And just to give everybody an idea of where the breakdown was, from my perspective, what happened was there were some key areas. Those of you that read the 19-page ops plan, buried way at the back, there was a picture of the state, and it had these things called strike teams, and they were scattered throughout the state. So the idea with the drill was it was supposed to exercise the call-up process and the mutual aid process, which means generally, and this has been one of my complaints about past SETs, that they have some sort of huge scenario that affects everybody in the entire state at the same time. And that's not how things are really going to happen. Things are going to happen in pockets and areas. So the idea with the SET, the way I understand it, is that these key places, one of them being Medina County, were supposed to get slammed with traffic, and then they were supposed to ask for help. So the procedure would be the EC in Medina calls me and says, hey, we're activated. And then when they start needing help, they call me and say that they need more people. And then I reach out to the other counties as the DEC, and I start requesting additional help and send those people down. Which is really, it's a very realistic scenario. And I personally think that it's a great thing to practice because it's something that we've never really practiced before. The problem is that they did not give Medina enough things to do, so Medina never had to ask for help. So that's where the breakdown was. Medina was told that they had a single incident each day. On Saturday, they had a cave collapse with some Boy Scouts that were trapped in a cave. And then on Sunday, they had a building collapse with some of the rescue workers from the previous day's scenario that were trapped in the building. The problem is those scenarios are not big enough to bring in all kinds of amateur radio operators. So they never had to ask for help, so nobody else ever really got activated and had anything to do. The messages that they got, they were specifically instructed to staff the scene with no more than 1 to 3 people at a time. And I think as a district, we had, probably 30 some people standing by. So in order to get 30 people into a scene, only 3 at a time, I mean, it's just not going to happen. And even if we could, they didn't even have 30 pieces of traffic to send. So even if we did send everybody there virtually, they still wouldn't have had enough traffic to keep everybody busy. So that was the breakdown. The scenario and the idea of how it was going to expand is actually a good one. I thought it was a good idea. It just didn't work because they didn't give them the tools to need all that help. My suggestion on the DEC call was that they should have activated shelters, and they should have activated hospitals, and they should have activated things that we had to send people to. And then we would have had the capability to get more people involved. So after seeing how that went on Saturday, I decided that we weren't going to risk sitting around on Sunday and waiting for things to work better. And I wrote a scenario primarily based around Cuyahoga County that also included Lorain and Lake County, because those were the other counties that were participating at the time. Cuyahoga did not indicate that they wanted to participate. So I wrote a scenario, which if you're looking at the map right now, was a train crash in Berea behind the Depot restaurant on Depot Street. And for those of you that mentioned the Cleveland Browns, that's just down the street from their training facility, which is right here up on the other side of Front Street. So if any of you guys are rail fans like I am, you've probably spent a lot of time, well, actually the restaurant's up here, I'm sorry. You've probably spent a lot of time in this parking lot here watching the trains, because you have the Norfolk Southern Railway up here, and then you have CSX right here, and it's extremely busy. I actually drew the incident in the wrong area, but that's all right. It's close enough. So a chemical train derailed, was leaking chemicals. The emergency response book calls for a 1 mile evacuation area, which is what this red circle represents, and then up to 3 miles downwind, which for the purposes of this scenario, I said that the winds were coming out of the northeast, so that we had to evacuate this entire area. It encompasses the Ohio Turnpike. So one of the pieces of traffic that I had them pass was a message down to Columbus, just telling ODOT that we've closed the turnpike between Lorain Road, which is the first exit to the west out here by where 480 meets, and Interstate 71, which is the next exit to the east. So I activated an incident commander. Well, let me back up. The scenario for the broader SET was that there was a malfunctioning computer chip, which led to a failure of internet, phone, and also local public safety radios. All of those things were down. So we kept those parameters, and I designed our scenario around them. And so since public safety radios weren't working, I had somebody dispatched to what I called a regional dispatch center. And then I had somebody dispatched to the incident scene to be with the incident commander. And then I had people dispatched to area hospitals so that we could let them know about the incoming patients, because when this freight train derailed, a passenger train coming the other direction ran into it and also derailed. So that way we have a lot of justification for transporting people to hospitals. Because of the evacuation, I also wrote in shelters, although we only had enough people to staff a few of the hospitals and then one shelter. So the traffic was, it was all just kind of random things. The traffic that I created was the incident commander requesting resources from the dispatch center, fire trucks, ambulances, things like that. We had traffic go out to some of the other counties, Lorain County, for more ambulances. So we sent a message from the county net to the district net to Lorain so that they could request more ambulances from Lorain County. We sent messages through the district net down to Columbus, along with the regular SET, requesting that the railroad company be contacted, the EPA be notified, the DOT be notified about the highway closure, things like that. So the goal was just to get people involved. Hospitals were sending just random messages like, our power's out, our power's back on, we need more food. The shelters were asking for tables and asking for food. The incident commander was asking for fire trucks, just all kinds of random things just to get as many people involved in sending traffic back and forth as we could. A handful of those people sent the traffic digitally. Some didn't. That's fine. I kind of left it open for people to do whatever they wanted. We sent some messages out to Lorain County. The Lorain County EC, Andy K8ALG, decided last minute that he wanted to create his own inject. So he created a factory explosion, which we then had the incident commander dispatch some fire trucks from our scene out to that. And I mean, a lot of it wasn't realistic, but it just, the idea was to get people talking to each other and doing something. So nobody's complained yet. So I think that means everybody had fun. I thought it was fun. And the plan for next year is basically going to be the same. So I told the DECs on the call that not that we weren't going to participate in whatever they came up with, but that we were going to do our own drill along with the ECs and try and tie, well, I don't remember if I told them on the DEC call. I thought I brought it up, but I mean, whatever, it's not a secret. I'm not trying to hide the fact that we're going to do our own SET next year, but so we'll see how the state SET evolves, and we'll definitely try and tie our scenario into theirs in any way that we can. But the scenario is going to be something that all of the ECs in the district agree on. I'm going to have the ECs consult with their EMAs, find out what types of things we need to prove to our EMAs that we can do as far as abilities and skills and things like that, and try and incorporate all that in. So over the winter, I'm going to have a series of meetings with the ECs, and by the time October next year rolls around, we should have a fantastic scenario put together that is based off of input from our immediate area as opposed to somebody who lives outside of the area. And it'll do what we think we need to do in conjunction with our served agencies, and hopefully it'll be a lot of fun. So anybody that was disappointed at this SET or has been disappointed in SETs in the past, please just give us another chance next year. And I think that you'll all be pleasantly surprised. So John Anhold, KM8V, was one of 2 District 10 stations that was on the District 10 net, and working with Doug, AB8M, to pass traffic through to Columbus and outside of the district area. So John, do you have anything you want to share about how things went from your point of view, dealing with HF and dealing with sending messages outside of the area?
Yeah, so in general, and I could share my thing if you want, Matt, on the
Sure.
Screen. Or
yeah,
not.
the interaction report that you wrote?
Yeah, hang on.
Yeah, go for it.
All right. Hopefully you guys can see that. Yep. So right, so like Matt mentioned, Doug and I were basically running the district net. And because of COVID, right, a lot of the scenarios for the SET had people using virtual locations. So for purposes of this, even though I was operating from my station and Doug was operating from his station, we were behaving as if we were in the same physical location. So when traffic came into the district net on VHF, I was primarily the VHF net control. Doug was primarily the liaison to the Buckeye net. Although he took some of the VHF for me, and I did take some traffic up to the Buckeye net as well on HF. But we were behaving as if we were in the same place and could basically swivel chair stuff back and forth. So it worked pretty well from as far as within the district. We passed more than 62 pieces of formal traffic, most of which was digital on the 015 repeater, or a couple of them I went down and picked some stuff up from Medina on the Hamfest repeater, the 145.19. And I think it worked pretty well. We passed a lot of traffic. Everything, oh, hang on, stuff's falling over in my shack here. Everything that that you guys sent to Columbus got handed to Doug, and he sent. We did have some problems getting traffic back out of Columbus. I think we received one response the entire exercise. I think we received one on Saturday, maybe it was Sunday, and then Doug did get a couple back for Lake County in their poison control scenario, part of the SET, but it was well after everybody else had shut down. But it went well, right? We had a lot of traffic going in between the counties on the district net. We had a lot of traffic coming to the district net and getting sent up to Columbus. Worked really well. I've got some notes here that, you know, there were some difficulties on the HF net. We were sending traffic up to the Buckeye Net, which was getting mostly to the SARG W8SGT at the Ohio EMA, and they were passing it on to Franklin County for the destinations. But like I said, we basically never got anything back out of Franklin County, no responses. So I know Dave, NF80 was the strike team commander in Medina. His controllers for the exercise were asking him, like, can you verify that they're sending the messages? They were waiting. They had injects that were basically waiting on a response to trigger the next one, and they never got one. So there was some breakdown somewhere in Franklin County with getting traffic responses, since that was where all of the statewide SET destinations were. Like, all of our traffic was, in my opinion, kind of stupidly destined for hospitals in Columbus, because we all know if we have an event with a mass casualty and trauma patients in Medina County, the best place to send them to is a hospital in Columbus, right? So that was a little unrealistic. But in general, aside from the fact that on Saturday, the other counties outside of Medina didn't get tasked and we didn't get any responses back, District 10 showed up well. All of our counties within District 10 showed up well on the district net. It worked well on the district net, and we represented ourselves very well as a district on the Buckeye net to the rest of the section. I don't know if there's anything else in here, Matt, that I wanted to mention that I didn't. I don't think I did. These traffic, that's the more than 62. I think we actually counted something like 80 pieces of traffic for the form that Doug filled out. That doesn't even include the voice traffic that you guys were passing between the counties for mass exercise. So like the patients and the ambulance requests and all that stuff that was going back and forth between Cuyahoga and out to Lorraine, for example, and to Cuyahoga, that's not counted in this. These counts are really just the formal traffic that we either passed in the district and with the counties or up to the Buckeye Net. So I think we worked really well, and I think we represented ourselves very well within the SET up to the state or the section. There were some hiccups, some good learnings. That's all I got.
All right, thanks, John. And I'll just, obviously, as a reminder to everybody, the reason we do drills is to identify problems. So if any of you are ever involved in a drill where nothing goes wrong, then I would argue that the drill wasn't designed very well. Drills are made to stress people. They're kind of big and ridiculous by design so that it works as many working parts of the system as possible to try and figure out where the weak links are so that we can make changes in the future. So I think, even a drill that doesn't go well, there's always something to be learned from it. And so as long as we're looking at these things and figuring out what we can do better, then that's what really matters. So I flat out, one of my responsibility as a DEC is to notify Stan, the SEC, anytime one of our counties is activated, and I completely failed to do that. So that was something that I need to do better next time. Did that make the whole scenario fall apart? No, but it was something that I need to work on. So, and I know that even John and Doug were talking about some things that they might try differently as far as getting messages in and out of Columbus next time. So I talked to some other people that learned limitations of their personal equipment, that they couldn't access certain repeaters. The guys in Medina learned that they can't be on the 147015 net at the same time that they're on their primary 147030 repeater. So they learned some about their activations down there. I didn't even use my home station. I set up the ambulance and operated out of that all weekend. So I got practice setting up the portable antenna and putting radios in there and using the radios and ideas for things that we can improve. So, all in all, yeah, it would have been nice to have more activity on Saturday, but there were still a lot of lessons to be learned, and it still helped teach us a lot. So I'm looking forward to next year. I think that regardless of what the state comes up with, I think we're going to have an outstanding SET. And if the state comes up with something outstanding next year, then it'll just make it even that much better. Because like I said, this is not a situation where we're taking our ball and going home. This is a situation where we're just going to create our own stuff to either add to or, you know, whatever based on what they do. So at the very least, it's going to add a bit of local flair to it, I guess you could say, where things are going to be unique to our area, and we'll feed off of the state scenario as much as possible, and we'll make tie-ins wherever it makes sense, connect them together wherever it makes sense, pass traffic back to the state wherever it makes sense, and go from there. So I'm really looking forward to it. Those of you that are ECs or AECs, there will be lots more discussion to come over the winter and over next summer about plans for the SET. Those of you that are outside of Cuyahoga County will be getting instructions to reach out to your local EMAs for input, and we'll go from there. So that's pretty much all I have. Like I said, this normally would have been the last meeting of the year anyways. We wouldn't have had, in Cuyahoga County at least, meetings in November or December, and then we would resume back in January. So that is going to be the plan here as well. So everybody in Cuyahoga County, look for meetings to resume the first Sunday in January, either in person if we can or through Zoom. This Zoom account, I think you guys saw in the email, is provided by the Hamfest Association of Cleveland. So thank you to them for that. Assuming that the account, we have it for a year. We, being the Hamfest Association, has the account for a year. So it'll definitely carry through. John, when did the subscription start? July or August or something?
Yeah, something like that. Maybe even June. I can't remember when we thought about it.
Okay.
And I mean, the Hamfest Association will take a look and see how many times it's been used, what clubs used it, and if it makes sense to renew it and people are still using it, we probably will. The invitation remains open. If you've got a club that's doing Zoom meetings or other, trying to do virtual meetings or anything ham radio related, and you'd like to use the account, you can go to the Hamfest website, hac.org/Zoom, fill out the form, or just contact me or Matt. We can set you up with a meeting if you want to use the account. It's open for any area, clubs, organizations to use for ham radio related things. And yeah, we've got it at least until sometime next summer.
So my plan is, even when Cuyahoga County is able to resume in-person meetings, I'm going to create Zoom meetings to go along with them. And I'll do exactly what I'm doing here, but I'll just do it from the in-person meeting instead for people that aren't able to make it to them. And I'll continue doing those as long as the account is still in existence. So thank you to the Hamfest Association for that. And I think next year, for at least the beginning of the year, we'll do monthly meetings, even if we can't do them in person. I've kind of been backing off because there's nothing going on, but I think starting in January, we will assume that everything is going to happen that normally happens and that it'll be a busy year like usual, and we'll try and hold monthly meetings, even if they have to be virtual. And if things start dropping off again and all the events start getting canceled again, and it looks like it's going to be another year of sitting around doing nothing, then we can always back the meetings off as it makes sense. So anybody's always welcome to attend. I know a lot of you guys aren't from Cuyahoga County, but you're always welcome. So I'll make sure I always send the link out. 3 o'clock. So we have to talk for another hour no matter what, because the meetings always go till 4. Does anybody have anything? If not, we'll go ahead and wrap it up. Questions, comments, opinions, anything for the good of the order, Carl?
Yeah, two things. Number one, I want to thank you for making sure the evacuation zone stayed away from the house. Came close.
Oh yeah, that's right. You were almost in there.
Almost in there, about quarter mile away. Number two, just for information, this train derailment isn't that far-fetched. About 20 years ago, there was a train derailment right at that location with a flipped engine. Several cars got broken up. They had the place kind of closed up for 24 hours while they brought in salvage teams to reclaim the merchandise that was out on the road. It was everything from vegetables to appliances. And that was on the southern part of the tracks close to the restaurant. The northern part was still open. They were still passing traffic through there, but they had to come through real slow. And it was under a controlled situation there. So it's an interesting thing to see. Back to Ned.
I see, Tim, you have your hand up again. You have something?
Yeah, I can relate to Carl a little bit. I remember that train derailment happened right behind Lorain County EMA. And it was like a movie scene. Tom said, hey, get your kid. I think he was like 3 years old. We went up there and we went past the yellow tape and went right in the yard, and we're right in the catastrophe area. It was like a scene out of a movie. I couldn't believe what I was seeing. And there was some, Tom could tell you the story. I probably don't have it exactly right, but some guy smoking a big cigar and got the rough voice and says, I'll have this cleaned up in no time. And he did. He had it all cleaned up, but it was like a movie scene. It was just unreal to walk right up to something like that. I mean, we see it in the movies, you know. I also wanted to add, we can use 523 for digital. Dave and I's discussion were we could swap, because I think 523 WHF has a much better coverage area. And some of the guys, if John decides to do, you guys work that out in the future for digital, you know, some of the Cuyahoga and beyond guys can join in on digital too. I mean, if whatever op plan he wants to create in the future, you and Matt, and, you know, if we get to that point, one concern that we had, and I tried as EC here for 4 years to get people to do digital, and it was like talking to a brick wall. I had Andy and Chris and Greg and, you know, my guys and us group, as we were a group, we were doing it. We were passing the law, Sunday night log from 625 and 715. But it kind of just fell apart. We couldn't get nobody to do anything. And I'm like, you know, you don't have to have transmit capability. Just set up FL Digi and copy the message, and you can roger that by voice to get people interested. But it's like they didn't know how. I don't know. We just don't have enough people to go to everybody's house. So I called a training session from, shoot, I can't remember his name, the Ohio Section Technical Coordinator, Jeff, JTK. And he came out, and I set it up with KB8OJ. We had it all down there in his dance hall. And we only had a handful of people again. So I don't know what it takes to get people up and running. I know John's into it, KE8MXX. So, you know, he'd be a hot digital station too, because he knows how to do this stuff or wants to learn anyway. You know, you got to get people that are interested to learn. Otherwise, they'll just check in that they're this, this, and this, and then you never hear from them when you need them. So,
yeah.
But
go ahead.
Yeah, but 523 is available. Dave said you could even swap off, you know, whatever y'all wanted to do, but, and you guys can converse further with WHF. If you guys want to incorporate that later, we could have a digital traffic net too. Doesn't have to be an official NTS. So, I mean, that's kind of a repeater thing. I don't know if y'all do it on 7.6 or not, but the option's there, and the welcome mat is open. You know, he just don't want to interfere with BRTN, but it could be added to that, or you guys could add it later for your own repeater digital exercise. And I'll put a plug in for Punka Patrol. This is 56 years or whatever we're doing this. And I could use a couple guys. If you could stay 4 hours, you know, 2 hours, one of the 3 days, 2 days, 3 days. I believe Andy's doing the chili again this year. He was really sick last year, so there was none. And I usually let people pick their own bridges, priority. You know, we have our priority, medium, and low. And we fill the priorities first, obviously. But I'll be set up at the post, and I'll be your net control. So if you could drum up a couple guys, that'd be great. If you can't, you know, I understand. But I got to make that pitch. Back to you.
Tim, can you send me an email with a description of what you guys do, the dates and times that you need people, and your contact info that I can forward to the ARES? I'll send it out to the ARES District 10 members, and then I'll also send it to my event support group email list. I haven't sent an email to that in quite a while, so that'd probably be a good topic for it.
Yeah, I can do that. And KDHGXL is headmaster. I'm just kind of working the logistics, so to speak, because you know, I think he's working 2 jobs again. And you can contact him too. He's going to do the packet. He puts all that together. Got the letter from the post and all that, so that'll be distributed with your packet. Some of you guys that work it before, you'll just come into the post. You get your Pumpkin Patrol packet, your little orange pumpkin face that you put in a window, and all the law enforcement officers supposed to know who you are, but sometimes they'll still come up and say, "I never heard of Pumpkin Patrol." And we've had the we've had the state patrol do that too. Go, wait a minute, man, you guys sponsor this. But anyway, yeah, I'll let Keith know, and if I could give him your email and contact, would that be okay, Matt?
Yeah, that's fine. Just some sort of right. I mean, I know what it is, but I don't know enough about it to speak intelligently. So just if somebody could just write a real quick, this is what we do, this is when we need people, and this is who to contact, and then I'll forward it out to the couple of email lists that I have access to.
Okay, and Keith's Pumpkin Patrol packet that he puts together that you pick up, I don't know if he'll do it by email, but I know the physical one you pick up, it's really nicely done, I have to say. And I'm not good at, like you guys, at business stuff, but he does a really nice package. And I'm not particular, you know, he'll like to sign a bridge, obviously, again, priority first, but I know Andy and CAD, they have their favorite bridges, and I guess the basic concept is to get the priority first, and then medium and low, specific that's closer to your house. So when you dispatch or clear, you ain't got a long ride home and have to go to God's and green earth to try to figure out how to get back home and take all that. But Eric comes out too. And anyway, that's all I have. I've really enjoyed the meeting. Thanks for the invite. Over.
Yeah, thanks. And yeah, send that off to me, and as soon as you can, and I'll get it sent out as soon as I get it. So happy to help try and staff that. All right. Well, I got nothing else.
I got a quick one, Matt.
Yeah.
Just look for the information that a couple of years ago, the Lyra used to have a digital net on the 8.8 machine. And the first half of the year was in sending FL Digi messages. The second half of the year was doing slow scan TV. And it started out with about 7 or 5 people interested in either one of them. And it just kind of decayed out. But the people that kept on, especially with the slow scan, they were not Lyra members or ARES members. They were just ham radios guys who did slow scan in the past. And it was kind of interesting. They would have contests that they would have, what is this? And they'd have a picture of something on there. They would send it out to everybody. And then you had to guess what the picture was. So, you know, there's a lot of things going on. I know John hasn't done anything yet with slow scan, but that's another thing he may want to look into also.
John who?
Arnold. Arnold.
Arnold? Yeah,
Yeah.
John's been getting slow scan pictures from the space station.
I was getting slow. I mean, I don't know if there's an ARES component to that, but certainly if there's interest in doing slow scan, we could do something like that. But yeah, I got a bunch of them from the space station over the last week.
I'm going to plan a meeting for at least one meeting for WinLink and one meeting for FL Digi ARES meetings. So probably maybe we'll plan for February, March for those 2 topics. I know John and Doug did a WinLink, just packet in general, and it went over really well. I'd like to do one more in depth with using the software, one with the WinLink software and one with FLDigi using that software, where we just kind of assume that everybody has the mechanics set up and working, and we focus on how to use the software. So maybe I'll plan those for February and March topics, and we'll talk about that, and actually send some traffic. Usually I would say over Simplex around the meeting room, but if we're still going to have a virtual component, then yeah, we'll jump on maybe Steve's repeater, since he's okay with digital traffic, kind of take over it for a couple hours one Sunday and send a bunch of messages back and forth. So
yeah, there's a recording of the packet presentation Doug and I did. I think we recorded the one, Matt, for this meeting, for this group.
yes.
We were invited, and we also did it for Gears. So those are the recordings available, or if you got a club that wants us to come and bring it to the club, we could do that as well. It's up at kmadv.com/packet, has the link and the embed for the presentation and the NADSG YouTube video. So we delivered it twice, went over pretty well, and it's available to watch, or if you ask us nicely, we can scroll up. It's right there. Click here to watch the replay.
Oh yeah, there we go. So yeah, kmadv.com/packet, and then if you click here to watch the replay, there is a link to the YouTube video from the ARES meeting that is up there. So.
Yeah, and the deck as well. There's a PDF, but yeah, so you can check that out. It's got some useful information. And if you have like I said, if you have a club looking for stuff, you want us to come talk to the club, we do that too.
Yeah, we'll figure out either we'll talk more, but I think either February or March we'll do in depth just on WinLink. And then another one in depth on FLDigi. Would you guys want to do FLDigi too, or are you experts in FLDigi?
I mean, I've used it a lot, so I could.
Okay.
I don't have a deck or anything prepared, but
Get hopping.
Yeah, I mean, we were using. I think we had a lot of stations that were successfully using it during the SET, right? Doug and I were obviously using it to pull stuff off of the district net on VHF, and then we were also using it, the Buckeye net mixed mode that we were passing all of that traffic to as a mixed mode voice digital net on 80 meters. So you check in on voice, and then you go off to a data frequency and you pass it. So all the traffic we sent up to the Buckeye net, I know Doug did end up sending some of it phone because somebody couldn't take it digital, but the point of that is a digital net. So all of that traffic, like all of those 80 some messages that we passed formally, either within the district or up to HF for the SET, was all done with FLDigi, but for a couple that I think you guys sent to Doug and he pulled off a WinLink. So yeah, we've definitely done it. I check into ODEN, which is the Ohio district or Ohio Digital Emergency Network, whatever it is. The section net is an Olivia net on FLDigi on Tuesday nights on 80 meters. Oh, they're moving to 160 here, I think, for the winter. But yeah, if you want us, or I don't know if I can volunteer Doug, if you want me to talk about FLDigi, I can. I'll just have to put something together.
Yeah, and I mean, even not so much a slide deck, but more just screen sharing the software as we're sending and receiving messages, and just working out the little kinks of here's where you click, here's what you do, and if it's not working, try this, try that, stuff like that.
Yeah, and I mean, I can rub some of the other guys in too, right? Like John MXX, you were sending and receiving stuff like a champ from Lorain County. I know NFADO was sending and receiving like a champ. BKE out of Lake County. I mean, we had quite a few people, and I know you were doing some also, Matt, just on the Cuyahoga net, I heard.
Yeah, Eric and Carl were sending some traffic back and forth. I know Tim, he sent on the district net to me a message or two, and so.
Yeah, so we've got a fair bit of people that know how to do it, so we could certainly put a demo together and walk through it.
All right, yeah, I'm thinking we'll do WinLink first and FLDigi second. I would like us to focus a lot more on WinLink. We're putting up physical infrastructure for WinLink going forward, so I definitely want people to be able to use WinLink, but I don't necessarily want it to replace FLDigi. I think they both have their roles, but I think for a lot of the things that we were pushing FLDigi for, WinLink would make a lot more sense for some of them, and then for others, FLDigi still makes sense. So I would like everybody, especially since equipment wise, you don't need anything new to do one or the other. Anything that you have to do one will work to do the other. So by default, you can already do both. So it makes sense that everybody should know how to do both.
Yeah, for sure. A key slide in that presentation is if you can do FLDG, you can do Packet.
All right. And if anybody has any other training topic suggestions for next year, just shoot me an email. And like I said, I will try to have virtual meetings for all the ARES meetings as much as possible. I think we'll be able to probably make it through the full year. So, all right, questions, comments, anything? Tim?
Hey, Matt, I got one more thing.
Okay, go ahead, John.
And I'm going to share or you need to stop sharing so I can share my screen.
Sure.
One more thing I just thought of that I'll just share real quick. I don't want to get into a discussion about it, but I'll just share it so you guys are aware. Since we're talking about radiograms, K8AMH, who even though he has an 8 call, he's like the section traffic manager for North Texas or something. Basically, if you go out to ntstrivia.com, every week he posts a question. And basically what you do is if you want to answer the question, you send him a radiogram with your answer. And then he'll post on the website whether you got the answer right. So he's just trying to, another way to encourage some traffic. That's kind of a fun way to get people sending traffic and practicing in it. So ntstrivia.com. That's it.
And then Tim, you had something to add or question?
Yeah, I trained with that guy a little bit. I was pretty amazed with John and them guys, how you guys file the messages, because you're way better at that than I. That's why I was trying to push that here so we could all start to learn that. And I was pretty impressed and trying to figure out how, because I was trying to do it as he was doing it. Like, how is he filing it? What is he tagging it? Where he could, like, if Matt come back and said, hey, I passed you a message 20 minutes ago, and John says, hold up, I'll pull it right up. And then Matt would say, can you send that back real quick? He would send it back. He knew right where to go, like basically to the filing cabinet. And I don't have that much experience for received radiogram or what have you, plain text, whatever it is, NFL Digi, how to file that. I know they'll go, I think, to the NBEMS file. I was wondering if you're kind of tagging them and naming them as they came in, because I can't type that fast, but I thought that was pretty interesting. I'm pretty weak in that area. And
yeah,
also,
that's a good idea, because I was struggling with that too, with the messages and the FL message and all that. So
yeah, and I think that'd be a strong training point, because I could sure use some of that myself. And for John, he probably already knows, but if he's getting some ISS transmissions, you can get a certificate out of that. You just upload your picture, make sure it's a good quality. In the past, it had to be perfect, but you only need to upload the image as long as it's not all scattery and stuff like that, and looks really bad. And you submit it, and then they'll issue a certificate by email. I got like 5 of them. It's pretty fun to do. Also, for the slow scan TV, MMS TV works really well for that. And also Halloween night is pirate night on shortwave, and all the pirate stations will come out of the woodwork. I mean, it's really fun. I'm going to try to have something up at the post for that. And you can run MMS TV, and as they do their pirate thing, they'll say, okay, slow scan TV, get your software receivers ready, and they'll blast out a QSL card for the pirate station or whatever picture they want to send. And it's really cool. And they'll warn you when they're going to do it or tell you when it's coming up. Like, we got 5 minutes, and it's really cool to have that. And that's on the pirate stations. It's kind of fun to chase them and collect some of them transmissions that they do. And that's always on Halloween night. There'll be there's a blogging place for that, and it escapes me where it is. But anyway, heads up on that. If you want to hunt around on Halloween night and turn on your HF receiver, and it's usually around 6 megahertz, down to 5, 9 megahertz area. But anyway, it's just something fun to do on Halloween night. That's all I had. And thanks again.
Yeah, so real quick, just sharing here some of the ones I submitted. As far as filing, Tim, I don't know if you're watching, but Doug and I were using a Google Sheet. I've refined this. We've used it for the MS-150 a bunch of years. I refined it here. So we had like what stations were in on the net up here. Over here, we had a queue of traffic. So like if I got a piece of traffic on the district net, I'd pop it in here and who it was to, and then Doug would pull it off and put it into his queue. And then once it was sent on HF, it would get pulled off of here. And then this is just a log. So like if we got a log here, would show who sent the traffic when. And then, yeah, we had FLDG folders of messages for all the stuff that got sent. So we were, here's the log, but we could go back and like look up, okay, who sent what at what time and what showed up. And then separately, what I've started doing, and I'll show this is kind of anal on my part, but I've started logging my hours as far as checking in the net, sending traffic, stuff like that. But I've also started doing a traffic log. So like, I'll give you an example. Here's one that I just sent to K8AMH for the, actually I haven't sent it yet. I composed one for K8AMH for the NTS trivia that I need to send. Maybe if I remember, I'll send it on the BRTN tonight. But I just started creating a log. I just did this the other day in Google Sheets, and then I've been pasting basically the message into a note in Google Sheets. So I've got it. So like I can look here. I sent a buddy of mine a happy birthday message yesterday down in Columbus. That's on its way. How I send it, stuff like that. So that's just a couple examples of sort of how I'm kind of logging stuff. So like, here's the Zoom meeting for today, throwing it in here. That way I can track it. I put a whole bunch of stuff in here for September. And then, like I said, use Google Sheets for the net log. Like I said, we've used this, I don't know, 5 years maybe now for the MS-150. We started using it the first year that it was down to Ashland, and it enables multiple people to share and contribute to the same net or the same log. So when there's 4 of us down at the Ashland County Sheriff's Office trying to run the MS-150 net, you can pop in here, you punch something in. I'll show you, like you punch something in, and once you enter it, it automatically populates the time. So you just punch stuff in here, and then if you got multiple people running the same net, assuming you can all get to the internet, it's easy for multiple people to be editing at the same time. What I added for the SET was this top section where we could have a little bit of a board up here that was tracking all the stuff that Doug and I needed to both have situational awareness around as far as the traffic coming in and out, and then who was on the net and was a rep for each county or whatever. So just thought I'd share that real quick.
Okay, now is there any way you can like link that spreadsheet? Probably not. It's not like a ham thing. So I said, hey, John, I sent you that, and you look at that sheet, where, or, you log that. You probably cannot like click on that and want to bring up the actual message, or how do you go retrieve the actual message? I mean, you got a log there, but
So
what
I
if
got a log of you sending me something, but for me to go look for the message, I'd have to open up FL Message and find where it's saved. Like FL Message saves all of its messages into a folder. So like I have, I don't know, let me see if I can, here, let me share my screen, hang on. Screen 2, share. So we got this. So like if I open up, and I have 2 of them. You'll see this says HF up here. I have it set up. This one would open up the VHF one, and actually, so I'll open that one because I had 2 instances of FL Message, 2 instances of FL Digi, and 2 instances of FL AMP running for the whole SET. But like if I go here and I say open, and you say, Tim, you sent me or whatever, like I might not have it in this folder because it was Saturday. This was Sunday stuff. Like if somebody said, okay, what message, Dave, I sent you a message. What is it? I can go in here and boom, I can open it up right here. And then if I needed to send this on HF, I could open it in this, like, let's say I received it. So this FL Message received it on VHF and it dropped it into a file. What I can then do, and what Doug was doing a lot, was then say, okay, I need to resend this to Columbus. So you just come up here and you open it into here, and then this one will send to the HF instance of FLDG. So you're on the Buckeye Net, you call in on phone, you say, I've got traffic for W8SGT or whatever. You go to a digital frequency, you say, I'm ready to send, and then boom, you click auto send here, and it's just going to take whatever you opened up in here, and it's going to send it on HF. So that's how Doug and I were passing stuff back and forth. Or if you asked me, hey, I sent you this traffic, where is it? Like if I go in here, I don't know if I have any, I should have some NC8HF stuff in here. What did you send me? Why don't I? I don't know. I don't know why I'm not seeing what you sent me. It's got to be there somewhere. But anyways, it's all lives in this the folder for FL messages. How we were doing it.
Okay, because I was looking at my MBEMS thing, and that's the area I'm looking for, just as you're doing, for like a quick pull up. Oh, wait a minute, I'll bring it back up. Another problem I was having on my end, it works well for a while, but when I have my FL message up like you do, I even had 2 instances up. When a piece of traffic come in digitally over the District 10 repeater, it would log that in FL message. So if I had one that Doug sent or Matt sent, and I had them already existing and showing, and I didn't kind of file save and put them away, when another one come in, it booted the original one that was sitting there with that already copied with the text and header and all that. And if another one came in, it booted that off and collected the current one. And I couldn't figure out why it was doing that.
Yeah, so here I found the one you sent, Tim. So here's the one you sent that you brought over from Mars. So I was able to bring that up while it was running during the SET. If you go to I'll close it. If you go to Utilities, Received Messages, and you keep this open, as it's just sitting there receiving stuff, it'll populate in here. So it would show like all the things since I started running this here, and I could just like click on, like, actually when you asked me something on the weekend, I was even faster because I had this whole list of stuff here. So if you said, hey, what'd you send? I could write in here, just find NCHF's message, double click on it, click on view, and it would open in here, and it would actually view it in the browser like this too, right? Bring it up like this. So I had it in that received messages pane, and actually it was working pretty well. Between Doug and I didn't have to actually hand him stuff a lot because he also had 2 instances of FLDG and FL message running. He had one running on the district net the whole time. And so most of the stuff that was getting sent on the district net, quote unquote, to me, he was copying. So unless for some reason he didn't copy it, he already had it to go ahead and pass and just needed to track the message number. And I didn't actually have to hand it to him because he was auto copying them all as well, or most of them. But it's not fancy. The 2 different instances of FLDG or FL message, you can't make them share the same folder. So like this one, if you look, it's FL message files, VHF is where this instance is open stuff from. This one is NBEMS files. So there's 2 separate folders for each one that gets stuck in there. But basically Doug and I were just taking these files and moving them between the 2 instances to pass them, or referencing them from this received messages window here.
Yeah, that's exactly, you got me on the right track now, and also eliminates the second step, because he can say, oh, I got that, So yeah, that's exactly what I was looking for. I'll have to play with that and try to get that procedure down. I don't see how it could get any better. Thanks for the information. I appreciate it.
John, for planning purposes, do you think maybe a separate training meeting on just FL message would be warranted, or do you think it's enough that we can cram FL message in with FL Digi in a 2-hour meeting?
I think it would be the same one, right? Because I think for purposes of ARES, when we say FL Digi, we're really talking about FL message, and it just happens that we're using FL Digi as the transport mechanism. I don't think we would spend a ton of time on FL Digi itself, other than people that need to figure out how do I set up my sound card? How do I set up all that stuff? But mostly we're going to be sending FL message traffic. Yeah. So I would think we could do that in one. At least that's my thought.
Sounds good to me. All right, well, we'll talk more about setting something up. All right, anybody else? Well, thanks everybody for coming. I know the weather outside's beautiful, so we will adjourn, and I guess if I don't see you guys sooner, we'll see you all in January. Enjoy winter and enjoy the holidays, and hopefully better things to come next year. All right, thanks everybody. Take care. We'll see you in January.
See ya.
See you later, guys.
Bye all.
So long, everybody. Have a good one.